past few months, my addiction to nighttime scrolling has gotten so out of control. So I really want to create a nighttime routine that I crave more than those shallow dopamine hits that I am getting from the Instagram algorithm. Today, I'm going to share with you the habits that I'm putting into place to fix my sleep hygiene challenges. And many of these I actually already do, but probably not quite in the order that I should be doing them. And there are a few that I want to add in as well. By now, we all know how important getting good sleep is for our overall health, and especially for healthy aging and dementia prevention. But when our hormones and just life in general start to mess that up for us, it can be really difficult to get back into a routine that will give us the nightly restoration our body and brain really need. To help me out, I pulled up an article from the sleepfoundation.org, and I'm going to go through each of their suggestions and tips, decide if it's right for me, and then figure out the best way to incorporate it into my own nighttime routine. So at the end of this video, I'm going to share with you the routine that I am going to try to follow over the next few months. So the first step is to decide on a set bedtime. And they say that you should stick to this every day, including weekends. And if you follow a consistent sleep schedule, it is going to help train your brain to naturally feel tired at bedtime. Once this set bedtime is decided, then that's the time that you're going to want to schedule in when to actually start your nighttime routine, which could take from anywhere from 30 minutes to 2 hours before actually getting into bed. And I guess I'm going to figure that as we go through and decide which of these activities I'm going to want to have in my routine. Ideally, I think I want to shoot for having my lights out somewhere between 10:30 and 11 p.m. every day. The next suggestion the Sleep Foundation has is no surprise, and that is to put away electronics. And this is by far the one that I really need to implement and is the hardest one for me to do. They also suggest something that I've never heard of, which is turning on your phone's red light filter before your bedtime. I didn't even know this existed before reading this article. So I'm going to show you how to do it on an iPhone because I'm learning this as well. And this is the way to do it so that you can set it up as a quick triple click shortcut. So you can just click that button on the side of your phone 3 times and it'll automatically turn it to a red light filter. So you're going to go to your settings and then go to accessibility, and then you're going to scroll to the bottom and tap accessibility shortcut. And at that point, you're going to tap the color filters and then check the red filter. Hey, Editing Christy here. So there are actually a couple more steps you have to do in order to get that red light filter on your phone. So I'm going to step you through actually putting the red light filter on, then you're going to go back and set up that shortcut that I just told you how to do. Sorry about the confusion. You're going to go back into settings. You're going to go down to your accessibility again, and then you're going to go to the display and text size. Then you're going to scroll down to color filters and turn your color filters on. And then you are going to go down to the color tint, and you're going to push the color tint, check color tint, and you're going to push intensity and hue all the way to the right hand side. Now it is all set up for you to click that side button 3 times, and you'll be able to toggle back and forth between having the red light filter on and having your regular screen during the day. The third suggestion is to have a light snack or bedtime tea. And this is one I already excel at. I do this every night religiously. I'll have at least 1 or 2 cups of sleepy time tea an hour to 2 hours before I go to bed. In fact, I'll usually fix my first cup of tea right after I finish dinner to give me a little bit of that sweet something that I crave after dinner. They also suggest having a light snack of fruit, maybe some yogurt or nuts to keep your stomach from feeling hungry overnight. And unfortunately, I also have the bad habit of not eating dinner until around 7:30 or 8. So I don't think that I am in danger of being hungry overnight. But I will definitely keep my bedtime tea in my bedtime routine. Now, before we get to the next suggestion, I do want to thank Omnia Sleep and Glow for sponsoring today's video, because we can't talk about sleep without talking about Omnia. I've been using an Omnia Sleep and Glow pillow for almost 2 years now, and a couple of months ago, they sent me the new Omnia Sleep and Glow cooling pillow to try out, and boy, was the timing fantastic. As the temperatures have been getting hotter and hotter here, it is so nice to be able to get in bed with a pillow that is going to help keep me cool throughout the night. This pillow has these little ventilation holes that prevent the heat from building up around your cheeks and eyes, where you might end up getting more nighttime swelling. And this is how a regular pillow presses against your face while you're sleeping, which can contribute to sleep wrinkles. The pillow casing itself is made from a unique natural material that will help support optimal body temperature throughout the night. Ultimately, this pillow keeps me cool, it soothes my skin, and I wake up in the morning with a lot less puffiness. Recently, Omnia also sent me their new ventilated blanket to use in coordination with this cooling pillow. This is the perfect blanket for those of us that are constantly sticking our leg out of the covers, then pulling our legs back under the covers over and over again all night long. Although I am not having as many severe hot flashes these days, I still do get hot on and off throughout the night. This blanket is made with a breathable filler that will still keep you warm, but it also includes these mesh ventilation panels that will draw away excess heat and moisture. The outer cover is this super soft 300 thread count cotton satin, and it feels so nice to the touch. Using a combo of the cooling pillow and the ventilated blanket, I am finding myself getting longer, deeper sleep than I have for years. I'm waking up a lot more refreshed and ready for the day. The blanket is machine washable, and it is still effective if you do decide to use a duvet cover over it. That might match your bedroom aesthetic a little bit better. Right now, during the month of July, Omnia is having a 15% off site-wide sale. So it would be a great time to try out these products for yourself. A big thank you to Omnia for continuing to support this channel, and more importantly, my sleep health. Okay, so moving on, the fourth suggestion is one that I'm not all that keen on, and that is to take a warm bath about an hour before you go to sleep. The idea behind this is that your body will heat up from the water and then cool down quickly as the water evaporates, creating a sensation that should make you feel tired and relaxed. To begin with, I am just not a bath person under most circumstances, but I also just feel like this would be way too much work to do every night before going to bed. So this one is definitely not going to make my routine list. And that probably goes for at least a part of suggestion number 5 as well, which is to listen to music as you are trying to fall asleep. The idea is that listening to music will help calm you and divert your attention from your worries and anxieties, but I personally think I would get more amped up listening to music. However, another part of the suggestion is to listen to ambient noise while you are sleeping or trying to fall asleep, like white, pink, or brown noise, a fan, even rain or waves noises. I do already listen to brown noise when I'm sleeping, and it is incredibly effective for me. If for some random reason the noise stops during the night, I always wake up. And funny enough, on our recent girls trip to Charleston, there were 4 of us sharing one hotel room, and 2 of us had competing sounds on throughout the night. I had my brown noise sound going, and my other friend had her rainstorm going. It was actually quite relaxing. And I think, well, I know I slept pretty well, especially given that we were sharing a room with 4 girls. The next suggestion is to do a little light stretching, maybe a small yoga routine, or even some light massage right before bed. I know. There's a thing called progressive muscle relaxation, or PMR, that is also suggested. And I have tried this before, especially back in the days when I was having a really, really hard time falling asleep. This is where you work your way from your feet to basically the top of your head, focusing on like tightening specific muscle areas, holding for a few seconds, and then completely releasing those muscles until you've worked your way up through your entire body. Honestly, I never really felt like this helped me all that much. And like the bath, I feel like this would require more effort than I really want to be doing at bedtime. So that is not going to make my bedtime routine list. Suggestion number 7 is to include a regular meditation practice right before you go to sleep. The idea here is to help manage those intrusive monkey brain thoughts and emotions that might come up right before going to sleep. And that the meditation will help guide you to sleep rather than stressing about not falling asleep, which, you can get into that whole loop of doing. This is something that, again, hasn't really worked for me in the past. I just find that I get more benefit from doing morning meditations rather than doing it right before bed. My mind usually comes out of meditation wanting to be active and not passive. But one thing I will do if I'm laying there and I just can't quiet my thoughts is I'll lay there and go through what I am grateful for. And it could be just thinking about things that I have gratitude for what had happened that day, or just things that I'm grateful for overall. I mean, coffee's always high up there on that list. And this does help somewhat, but I don't think that this is something that I'm going to add to my every night routine. Suggestion number 8 is another one that won't be a surprise, and it's to read before bed. Now, they suggest reading a good book, but I would say you don't really want that book to be too good, or you might find yourself staying up until 2 a.m. to finish it, and which is something I have done far too many times. They also suggest that you should read outside of your bedroom and read with only a soft lamp light on. Then when your body feels tired, that's going to be your signal to get into bed and go to sleep. This is something I have not been doing. I usually read in bed, so I do think that this is a change that I am going to make and start reading out on my sofa, which I think will also help keep me from turning on the TV or scrolling on my phone at night. This is a big one that I think is going to be a good change for me to make. Suggestion number 9 is to journal or write down a quick to-do list. Like meditation, I have found that I prefer to journal in the morning because for me, it does jumpstart my brain rather than quiet it down. However, I do like the idea of taking about 5 minutes to jot down a simple to-do list in the evening, so I might not just lay there and ruminate on possibly forgetting what I need to do the next day. And finally, the last tip from the Sleeping Foundation is to prepare your bedroom for the best sleep possible. This means making your room as cool, dark, and quiet as possible. They suggest setting the thermostat between 65 to 68 degrees Fahrenheit, which I already do. They also suggest having the room be as clutter-free as possible, dimming those lights, and pulling down blackout curtains. Personally, I have never had a TV in my room ever in my entire life, which I do think is very helpful for good sleep. Also, at some point in the evening, usually I will turn on my bedside lamp an hour or so before coming into my bedroom, so I don't have to turn on the overhead light just before going to bed. I don't actually have blackout curtains, but what I do have is a silk eye mask that I wear every night for basically the same effect. Another thing they talk about is adding an aromatherapy diffuser, it's hard to say, that you can use with a favorite scent. I'm not big on scents, so I don't think that I'll be doing something like that. But sometimes I do like to use a little lavender lotion on my hands before bed. So I guess it's kind of a similar idea, getting that lavender smell in one way or another. According to the sleep specialist, the very last step of your bedtime routine is getting into bed, and that once your head hits the pillow, don't do anything else other than trying to fall asleep. They say your bed should be a soothing place that is used specifically for rest. although I am sure there are a couple of other exceptions. Okay, now that we've gone through the sleep specialist suggestions, here's how I'm going to set up my nighttime routine moving forward with the goal of having my head on my Omnia pillow by 10:30 every night. Number one, I am going to fix my first cup of nighttime tea right after dinner. Number two, I will turn on the red light filter on my phone when I have made that first cup of tea. Number three, I'm going to finish watching any TV or scrolling by 9 p.m. Then I'm going to do my nighttime skincare routine, which they don't even talk about in their routine at all, but I do want to stick with doing my skincare routine and have that as part of my nighttime routine. And once I've got my skincare done, I'm going to fix my second cup of tea. Then I'm going to turn down the thermostat to about 67, because during the day I have my AC, I have it set at like 80 because, you know, money. The electricity gets expensive when you're running AC all the time in the summertime here. Then I'm going to jot down a quick to-do list for the next day, and then I'm going to spend the next little while reading on the sofa under my soft dim lamp. By 10:20, I'm going to put on my lip mask, which is the last part of my skincare, and then I'm going to get into bed, turn on my noise machine, put on my eye mask, and turn out the lights. Even though that sounds, I think that's about 9 steps, I still feel like this is very, very doable. And I think that the change that's probably going to make the biggest difference is moving my nighttime reading out to the sofa and away from the bedroom. I'd love to know in the comments, what part of your nighttime routine do you think has the best success for a good night's sleep? And if you have a stellar nighttime routine that you absolutely love, please feel free to share for all of us to learn from. Don't forget, Omnia has that 15% off sale going through the end of the month if you want to try out any of their specialty pillows or blankets. As always, thank you so much for choosing to join me here today, and I hope that your day is filled with joy and laughter. Bye!